At the end of the day, we want to support these mamas. But if we fail, if we continue to make these mistakes in these consultations, you will not have that opportunity. And that's a shame. Does the endless search for new birth clients feel like you're always swimming upstream? It is time to make some waves, doula. I'm Lisa, your no-nonsense doula sales coach. I'm a dedicated doula who's cracked the code on attracting the right mamas who are ready to say hell yes. Before I found my home in birth work, I personally sold over $4.5 million for companies whose vision I believed in. How'd I do it? I mastered the art of compassionate selling. I showed up as the real me. I showed up to serve. Now, I'm on a mission to help birth workers just like you build confidence in selling your services so you can book yourself out. This is the Loudmouth Doula podcast. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Loudmouth Doula Podcast, the place where birth workers and heart-led business owners master feminine sales skills with confidence and ease. Today, I am calling out some common sales call mistakes that are made in consultations whenever somebody is having a sales conversation. And I see this happen with doulas all the time. And these mistakes might be sneaking into your conversations and costing you clients, costing you dollars. So I want you to know about how to avoid these at all costs. Good news is that I am hooking you up with ways to fix each and every one of these so that you can head into your next sales conversation with the tools to book a new in-person client or sign a new student into your birth course. Whatever it is, this conversation is going to be relevant. Let's get into it. Okay. Mistake number one that I see doulas make all the time in consultations is kicking off the conversation with a bunch of small talk. Okay, so like starting the consult off with something like, so how has your week been? Blech. Listen, I know that asking a question like that might feel like a super safe way to ease in, a personable way to build rapport, but here's the truth. It is wasting precious time. I know that what I just said is the complete opposite of what you have heard your entire life. What you have heard is build rapport, build rapport. And yeah, it is nice to bond over mutual interests and things like that. But seriously, I am telling you, save the chit chat for later on. This conversation, this consult is a very important discussion. Your prospective client has a problem, has a need, and you have a solution. And deep down, even if it's subconsciously, you both want to get right down to it. So how do we start a conversation if we aren't able to get into all the pleasantries, if we are not allowing ourselves to go off on a tangent about our weekend plans? What do we do instead? Well, number one, I want you to reframe it into respecting that mama's time. So start the call with a warm thank you for showing up, but then get right into it, straight into their goals or concerns. So here's an example. Hey, Violet, I am super excited to learn more about you and the goals that you have for your birth that is coming up. I also want to respect your time and mine. Are you down to jump right into this? Boom. Instant credibility. What did we do there? We just built authority. We are showing our leadership. We are about to take control of this conversation and make sure that it is guided with a ton of focus. It also means you are no nonsense. Like, you are the go-to doula and you are ready to get down to business. And also, you are busy, doula. You are very in demand. You are sought after. You do not have time to waste. This is the precious amount of undivided attention that you have carved out for this mother in your busy day, in your busy schedule, and you want to make the most of that time. Okay. Mistake number 2 that I see on the regular, and this one takes a lot of practice. So if you are multitasking right now, drop everything and tune in. Mistake number 2 is listening to reply instead of listening to understand. So what I mean is, as your prospective client is answering a question or speaking from her heart, if you are already thinking of your response while they are talking, you are not fully listening. And people can sense that. Mamas want to feel heard. They want to feel understood. So we do not want to brush off their words with a quick reply. We do not want to move down our script. We do not want to move through a list of cookie cutter questions. That is not how this works. If you want to add some serious value to your consultations, if you want to sell by leaning hard into your feminine superpowers, you need to be able to work on the fly. And I know that sounds scary, but I promise you that will deepen these connections. So what do we do if we're not going to listen to reply? What do we do if we throw the script out the window? I want you to shift your focus to active listening. Here are some ways that you can do that. Repeat back what you are hearing in a way to confirm that you fully understand their needs. So here's a quick example. You can say something like, "So I am hearing that you are really struggling with X, Y, and Z, and that you are looking for more support with Y. Did I hear you correctly?" We want to validate and set the stage for real connection, true understanding, mirroring what that prospective client is saying. Not only verifies that you completely know where they're coming from, we are also looking for verbal confirmation that you've got it right, that you heard her loud and clear, and that you know what direction to take the conversation. Okay, third mistake that I see all the time, and if I'm being perfectly honest, this is probably the most challenging for me: talking too much. So many of us have the gift of gab, and although that is a strength, here is the golden rule. The person who talks less controls that conversation. If you are talking more than 20%, you are not giving that mother space to share her needs and dreams. You are not giving her enough space. So how do we fix this? I want you to humor me and make this a challenge for yourself. Go out into your day-to-day and start using open-ended questions. Use it with your partner. Use them with your kids. Use them with your friends. Keep asking, keep digging, and refrain from having a diagnosis. Refrain from jumping to a conclusion or offering guidance or advice. Just keep working to understand. Let the person on the other end fill the silence. You are here to listen and guide. You are not here to give a TED Talk. So I want you to keep that 80-20 rule in your mind, and I want you to bring it into your daily, because the more repetition and the more practice that you have with listening and holding back from jumping to a diagnosis, the better you will get when you are on the spot in a consultation. Okay. The fourth mistake that I see is making it all about you. Okay, it's time for a little tough love. Mamas do not care about your backstory. And I know you're thinking in your brain right now, that's not true, Lisa. Let me rephrase it then. It is not that they don't care about your backstory. It's that they don't care about your backstory right this moment. That is not the point of this conversation. Mamas care about their own journey and how you can help them succeed, how you can position yourself as the answer to their prayers. If you spend too much time talking about how you got to where you are losing their attention. There will be time to discuss that. In fact, there is time built into nurturing when we are discussing client attraction and when we are building that relationship leading up to this conversation. There is a time and a place for that backstory. So what do? We keep the spotlight on her. I want you to ask questions like, what does success look like for you? Or how can I help you feel fully supported? Be specific. And then I want you to keep your answers very short and very client focused. Circle it back to additional follow-up questions whenever possible. If this mama wants more information about your history, the time will come. But for now, make it about her. Okay, fifth mistake that I see doulas make all the time is making assumptions, assuming instead of asking. So let's say a prospective client asks, how much time will this birth course take each week? You might assume that they are too busy to commit to this program, but you could be wrong. And now you've lost them. Maybe they're looking for something to fill their time. Maybe they want an outlet to distract from anxiety. Maybe they're looking for something more comprehensive. You don't know until you ask. Here's another example. Often we will have mothers ask a question around how their partner fits into your support. And by assuming that they're concerned that you are going to take the place of their partner, for example, you could be making a mistake because that question could actually be because that mother feels that the partner is not prepared in a way that feels aligned, that feels like that support is going to be top notch. That mother might be looking for you to fill those gaps. So don't make an assumption. We are individuals. We have different concerns. And to deeply understand the reason behind her question, you need to keep asking questions. So remove assumptions out of the conversation, and I promise you, you will have clarity, and it will make the close that much easier. At the end of the day, we want to support these mamas. But if we fail, if we continue to make these mistakes in these consultations, you will not have that opportunity. And that's a shame. Okay, the last mistake that I want to make you aware of so we can avoid it at all costs is leaving the call, stepping away from that consultation without a next step. Conversations that we have with mothers, they're not Google Docs. There's no autosave. Once that call ends, once you walk away from that in-person meeting, mothers get back to their busy lives. They forget all about you. If you don't set a clear next step, you are leaving money on the table. You are missing an opportunity to serve. So what do we do instead? We want to establish a next step before that conversation even ends. So whether it's booking a follow-up with a specific date and time, whether it is sending resources, whether it is finalizing a timeline for when you are going to sign a contract and get things moving, you need to make that crystal clear. So for example, you could say something like, I will send over next steps right after this call via email. Is this the right email for you? Or let's schedule our follow-up now. Does Tuesday work for you? I know that you said you wanted to talk to your husband Monday night. Okay, doula, I hope that this conversation was helpful. Listen, we all make mistakes. I am not calling anyone out. This is how I've learned over the years, by making mistakes and then making corrections. The key is learning from those errors and leveling up. So remember, by respecting your client's time, by actively listening, by keeping the focus on the client, by clarifying instead of assuming, and always setting a next step, you will literally transform your sales calls. You will literally have energy after a consultation, and you will know in your heart that you are on the right path. Your business will grow. If today's episode hits home for you, or if you learned something and you are excited to go implement, share it with another doula who could use these tips. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time. Okay, I have a question for everyone before we wrap up. Have you ever said to yourself, oh, that consultation felt so good, and then you got ghosted? So you thought the consult went amazing. The vibes were great. The connection was there, but then she didn't commit. Or worse, she went with a different doula. Here is the thing. You are not bad at sales. Stop telling yourself that. What you may not have, though, is a framework that works every single time. I've created Doula Consult Fails, 3 questions you're missing. Because sales skills are not something that we're born with. These are skills that we learn. And with the right framework, consultations stop falling flat. They start feeling fun. So I've created an incredible video guide where I'm going to show you my top 3 questions that build instant trust. I also explain how to highlight your value so clearly that moms cannot wait to work with you. And I even include the secret to closing consultations with confidence, never guesswork. So if you are ready to transform your consultations completely once and for all, go to empoweredbirthcoaching.com/3 questions. That's empoweredbirthcoaching.com, the number 3, QUESTIONS.